Well, hello, everyone. Today's guest is someone deeply rooted in the Atlanta community, and she also has a relentless hustle. Donika Parker is in the top 5% of Atlanta realtors. She helps people to buy and sell and truly find their place. We're going to unpack how she blends sales, service, branding, and community to build influence. Let's go. Welcome, Donika. Donika Parker is a standout Atlanta realtor known for her deep connection to communities, top tier service, and consistent results. As a member of the top five of realtors in Atlanta, Donika doesn't just help people buy and sell, she helps them find where they belong. From Sandy Springs to Brookwood Park and beyond, her approach is centered in trust, local expertise, and real estate branding that feels genuine. Donica, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Shonnie. Thank you for having me here. This is really exciting, and I appreciate you having me.
Yes, absolutely. You are a standout real estate agent here in Georgia, and we have a lot of agents here in Georgia. Me, you, and a few others, and you definitely stand out. Clearly, top 5%. But I want to ask you this. I ask every person that comes on and speaks. Let's talk about how you got into the business because everyone has a story. Let's talk about yours. What got you here to being a realtor here in Atlanta, Georgia?
Okay, so it wasn't by design, actually, quite the opposite. I got into real estate very early, actually, really very shortly after I moved to live here in Atlanta.
Okay,
So I was at that time, I didn't have experience with, knowing the culture. The only thing I knew it was the language because that was my major in college, English. So
okay.
that's pretty much what I had going on. I was
Mhm.
taking English as a second language at a local college here, and at the same time, we're talking my early 20s.
Okay,
And and I was also working for a builder who was in his office, right? Not on the sales side, but on the
right.
administrative side. And he just said, "Why don't you get your real estate license?" And
Mm.
I'm like, okay, what is it? Well, you have to, take a course and then take an exam. And how long is the course? 2 months. 2 months. I just graduated, after 4 years in college and,
Yeah.
hard cutting, straight A's. Come on now, what, this is,
Right. Two
oh,
months.
so exactly. I did, obviously the exam is not a piece of cake. It wasn't 16 years ago. I mean, sorry, 20 years ago. It wasn't, it's still not a piece of cake, the exam itself, but
True.
still it's easy to get into real estate. And I really had no idea what I was getting into, right?
Wow.
I had, a little bit of experience around his sales, but, nothing like, what it actually turned out to be. So I started working on a team right away. I learned a lot in a very short time, but
Okay.
I didn't learn the uh, one main thing that's really important, how to get clients, because
Oh gosh.
the teams,
Yeah.
they weren't my client. So
Mhm.
that's where the challenges began. And so it's been an interesting year, and sorry, an interesting journey.
Okay.
I got
It's
licensed
been a while. You've been in real estate for
since
a long
2006.
time. Yeah.
However, this was a year and a half before the market came down. So imagine that, like, in a new country, new career, and
Mm-hmm.
not really. I didn't consider myself a salesperson,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like the biggest, housing crash, even financial crisis in the history, or one of the biggest. So
Right.
yeah, it was definitely challenging, but I knew real estate was here to stay.
Yeah.
Uh, and we can talk more about why.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So you got into real estate kind of, by a mistake. Someone suggested it. And so you went ahead and went for it. And you were talking about some of the challenges that began to experience while you became a practitioner. And I can agree because when I got licensed, the first few years, it was like, wow, this is really great, and there were no issues. And then 2007, 2008 happened, and I didn't see it coming. And it was like, oh my gosh. And so a lot of us practitioners got out of the business because it just seemed like real estate was changing in a way that we just could not comprehend, and we all still have bills to pay. We have, our family to take care of. So let's talk about your challenges, because you're still in the business, you're here to stay. So what did you do? What were the things that you were doing that helped you to just stick with it and follow through even during the challenging times in your career?
So one of the things, obviously, I didn't have much of a sphere, and I was looking at different options. I mean, at that time, honestly, there weren't that many resources or so much coaching. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I mean, even on the internet, there weren't very many resources. And at the same time, your broker always told you to cold call and door knock. And just didn't want to do that. Actually, I did find it easier as you get more experience. You don't have that same fear. You actually approach it a little differently.
Yeah.
You develop a thicker skin, but at the same time, I wasn't enjoying it like to the point where I wanted to do this every day, or even
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, what else is out there? Maybe I should get out, but I didn't want to get out. And
Yeah.
I have to say, I did continue a part-time teaching job. Real estate was never a part-time for me. I never considered it a sidekick. I
Okay.
know a lot of people are like, I'm just gonna get licensed just to get a deal here and there.
On the side, yeah, every now and again, yeah.
There's people's fortune, on your sidekick. And yeah, I
Right.
never considered it this way. And I couldn't dream of the moment where I could let go of any part-time and really no, this will be my absolute full full focus. So I was teaching English. I left English teaching for the evenings, from 6 to 10 o'clock in the evening.
Oh,
Yes, and of course I had more time for real estate.
in the daytime, yeah.
Correct, in the daytime, and doing like odd jobs that didn't really require much of my that much of my time, except for the time when I had to do them. And at the same time,
Right.
I realized, okay, if I'm not going to door knock and cold call, then what am I going to do? YouTube
Mhm.
wasn't big right at that time, or at least if nobody had told me it was there. But if I had researched, or if I had found YouTube, I would have started right away. So what I tried to do is, okay, let me make sure that I get to know as many people as possible, and as many people as possible got to know me, and should get to know me, so
Yes.
that if they trust me, if they see me as a
Mhm.
professional, if they like to be around me, they'll do
Mhm.
business with me when the time
Mhm.
comes. Obviously,
Mhm.
it's a little bit of a waiting game, right? Because you don't know when exactly, but if you're consistent and you don't stop, and that's your prospecting, you don't just wait for people to, oh, I want to buy a house, and you don't know when that'll happen. You touch people so often that if
Mhm.
when they think of real estate, when they think of themselves or their friends, they will mention your name. So that was my goal. And then I really became, first I became like a little bit of like a stalker online. Um, yes,
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
in a good way,
In
right?
a good way.
Like the real estate stalker. So
Yeah.
in a good way, I figured that I have to know what's going on in people's lives, right? Like how would you stay in touch with people? They post everything online. So I made it my prospecting hours, my prospecting goal to actually check people's profiles every 2 3 days. And I would go down my list of friends. At that time, if I had 600, I would go down the 600. Obviously, the ones that were I'm originally from Bulgaria. So the ones that were from Bulgaria, that's just for fun.
Right. Because
They
they're
would
not here in Georgia.
they're
Yeah.
not here, but the ones that are here, I would check what they've posted, because at that time, Facebook even wasn't showing you wasn't showing you things from 2 3 days ago, or even a week ago. Like now you can see a post from 2 weeks ago if the algorithm,
Very true.
people find it interesting. But at those times, like I had to be very much on time, otherwise the person would think that I'm stalking them. So
True. Yeah.
I
So you
would,
got to have a little strategy about it, because you want to
yeah,
be, you want to, You don't want to just go out there and start doing stuff and there's no strategy behind it. You got to think in the minds of the person
And
who you're
I
speaking to.
know, I know
Yeah,
it sounds silly, but it's just about first of all, the goal is to create relationships. That's all, where
that's
people
it.
can trust you. And obviously they have to know you. So I did that. I would stay in touch with people. I would comment on their posts. I knew what they were, what was happening. And you do like you also are genuine when you do that. You're not going to
Hmm.
say something that is not true to you.
Hmm.
Lie to people. So
Yeah,
that's my goal. Keep in touch, be there for people. A lot of times people would, reach out if they need help, if they know when you start posting, they know you're in real estate. So that was my goal as well. Create a relationship, for the relationship to be there and for people to think of me. And in
yeah.
person, every time, especially when my son was born, I went to, I don't know, I probably went to 50 parties a year, like every weekend, yes, kids parties. There was something. There was two, three sometimes. So I would do a party, a couple of showings, then a party again, then the next day repeat. I'm talking about the weekend. So I did everything that I could to be in front of as many people as possible,
Yeah,
especially when those are people from my community.
right.
And every time somebody invited me, I wouldn't miss
You
it.
would go.
Just
Yeah.
I would go because first of all, it shows respect and people
Hmm.
to be there. And
Hmm.
second, it was an opportunity for me to show my face, be in front of people, and reinforce those relationships.
Right.
I can't
Exactly.
force anybody to do business with me. If they don't find me worthy,
Then it's not going to happen.
it's
Right.
not going to happen. So my goal was, okay, online, sorry, offline, in person, online, whatever they see about me, then they contact me, and that's how I've had a lot of
That's brilliant.
yes, that's how I've had a lot of closings. But it was like, you have to go to that party. You have to show your face. You have to bring the good energy. You have to be helpful when people need help. You have to
Yes.
promise. You have to complete your promise. If
That's it.
promise somebody, I'll call you at that time, or I'll give you that information. You have to
Right.
text them. You have to do that. You meet somebody for the first time, you have to find them on social media right now. I mean,
Hmm.
right away after that meeting, because I'm not going to ask for a person's, email, like if it's a friendly,
Right. It's kind of like nowadays, it's not a
good.
thing to
Yeah,
do.
I
Yeah.
can, I can do it just to put them in my CRM. My CRM will be, obviously there's nothing better than an email list, but if it's a friendly interaction, I just can't do. It just didn't feel natural to
Yeah.
do that. I said, well, that will come. Maybe they'll have a question, and I'll say, well, why don't you? You know what? I'm answering this question in my newsletter this month. Let me include you in that. And people are totally okay with giving their email address to a friend. So these are just some of the things that I
Yeah.
started doing, and it built up slowly. But then
Hmm.
once it did, everybody started calling me to buy and sell, and I was thinking, what's wrong with you? Like, what's happening here? What's wrong with you people?
But I find that to be fascinating, Donica, because you came in and, like you said, you were told, hey, door knock, cold call, and that's not something that you really wanted to do. And so you found a different way. And that's why, when I tell people about you, it's like she's really into the community because you really are. Like you really go to those events, you show up, you have your son, your family with you, and you do these things so everyone can see who you are. And now that you realize that it works, you're so good at it. You can teach, others that come along and join with you to do the same thing. So when you're out there and you're speaking to people, you've done it so much you can kind of figure out what conversation works with this person. So you're never coming across pushy. You're listening to them. You're kind of reading the room. So you may not, like you said, you may not ask for an email address or a phone number right then and there. You may say, hey, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, to keep it light and then to build up. And that's really important as agents. We have to learn how to read the room, get familiarized with who we're talking to, so we know that we're not coming on too strong or something like that. We got to be mindful of the interaction that we're having with people to build that trust.
Correct. And
Yeah.
you have to know we're in real estate. I have plenty of ways to mention that I'm in real estate. to where it just flows into the conversation and people would know. There is a joke
That's
about,
brilliant.
yes, they have to know. Otherwise, how would they know that I'm a real estate agent? I don't force them to use me as a real estate agent. If they find me worthy, they will. And I'll give them, my goal is to give them reasons to find me worthy. But there's a joke about triathletes and Ironman. I'm into that. And the
Yes, you are.
joke is, how do you know that somebody does triathlons? And the answer is, oh, don't worry, they'll tell you. How do you know? So, and I was thinking, wow,
And that is us in real estate. Like
that's even,
you're
how
gonna
do you
find out
know that
eventually.
somebody, yeah, how do you know that somebody's a realtor? Don't worry, they'll tell you. So same thing. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like I've realized that I've kind of tweaked it. So when I do have a conversation, I do want them to know that I'm doing something professional. But eventually it comes out just because I'm a true practitioner of real estate. So I would have said something that would have mentioned it some kind of way, like so yeah, when you're in a setting, for all you agents that are watching, when you're in a setting and you're at an event, don't waste that opportunity. They're going to have to find out one way or another. If you just say, hey, I'm going to take a picture of you, and I'll send it to you, and you send it to them via Instagram, or you send it to them via Facebook or a text message, they're going to see that, so you're an agent. Cool. Now they know. And now they have to shove it down their throat.
Yeah.
Like let them, they have to find out eventually, because again, that could be your next client. Or they may know someone who's interested in doing something, and they'll think of like, oh, I just met this lovely woman named Donika, that could certainly help you buy a home here or sell a home here in Atlanta. I think that's brilliant, Donika. That's a great way to kind of get your feet wet when you're new in the business. Just be a part of the community.
Yes, and it's easy. You don't need any skills. You just need habits. That's all. Habits and consistency. You don't need any skills to do that. You don't need, all you have to do is be able to text and have Instagram, Facebook, some social media. It could be
Mm-hmm.
something else where people can find you and like to maybe go out in person once in a while. So
Right.
every weekend, right? Not parties, but get-togethers. Make sure you know
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the, make sure you're introduced to everyone. So don't just chat with your favorite people. Go around the room. Make sure people see you, notice you.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, and it could be a habit. That's a habit. It just becomes a habit.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Consistency truly is key. And if you're not consistent, then it's going to somehow fall apart. And you're
Mhm.
going to feel like you are having to start all over again. So just pick a lane, get in there, do it over and over again, and it'll start to work out for you. You can't give up because it didn't work out maybe the first few times. You got to stay consistent. But this is really smooth because for you are clearly consistent because you are a triathlon. I mean, so you truly are what you say that you do in every way, in your personal life and in your business. How has training for a triathlon in real estate, how do they kind of combine and mix? Like, what are the similarities in doing that?
Well, one pays for the other.
Yeah.
But actually, the thing is that okay, so real estate pays for my, all my triathlon accessories and toys, but vice versa, actually.
Yeah.
And I actually realized just recently it came to me that the other way, the other, the other side works as well, because when
Mm-hmm.
people see you being dedicated and consistent with something, especially if it's perceived hard or it's harder for most people, they
Mm-hmm.
develop a new respect for you, or they actually take those qualities and they apply them to your business as well. So
Yes.
that will actually bring you clients, and I'm not doing it for the clients, I'm doing it for,
Right. Because you enjoy it. It's part
exactly,
of your,
I'm
yeah.
doing it for me because it does me good physically, mentally, it does me a lot of good, but also it brings business. So it's like a two
Ooh, Donica, girl.
it's like a two-way street. So if you run, I know I was seeing your posts about getting out and walking, and some days were easy, some days were hard, and you shared
Right.
you shared both, and I said, yes, that's how you have to be, because you don't know how what other person actually didn't want to go out that morning, saw your video and said, you know what, I will go out.
Right. I guess I'll do it too, type of
I
thing.
will
Right.
do 20 jumping jacks this morning. So it also affects people in a very positive way, because they feel they feel inspired. They obviously they need, a lot more than inspiration to continue doing it, but
Right.
you actually, positively affect people as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
that,
I learned years ago
mhm.
talking to an agent, and they said to me, the way that you run your business and run your life will mirror each other. And so if you are running your life, your personal life, and it's not as organized, then you would want to work on that, because being a successful practitioner like Donika, being able to be in the top 5% in Atlanta, that is just dedication and consistency. But she already does it in her personal life. So doing it in her career is easy. She's just being who she is in business. So when someone told, I forget when that was, but it was a while ago when I was early in my career, I had to make sure that I was very organized. So people, they make jokes now about me. They're like, we got to get on her calendar. And yes, you do.
Yeah.
I need organization. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I need to know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and a little bit about how it's going to be done, so I can have some framework about what my day is going to look like and consist of. And that way I can come and be present for my clients. I'm present. I'm here with you for this hour and a half or 2 hours. And so you're doing the same thing. And I love that. And that's clearly why you made the 5% in Atlanta.
Thank you.
So, Donica, tell me this. When you're working with buyers and sellers, right? And because you have a lot of buyers and sellers you work with, with about half and half for your buyers and sellers?
It's a little bit more sellers now. Somehow through
Okay.
the years, I kind of started with more buyers, and then those buyers turned into sellers,
Right. That's true.
or they have more friends of the sellers as well. So, it's kind of
It just depends. Right. That's the same for me. So tell me, what do you do? Because, for all the agents that are watching this and they're like, okay, I'm dealing with a buyer or a seller that may be becoming overwhelmed. Like, what are some things that you do to try to, I don't know, help them to feel better? Like, how do you guide your buyer and your seller so that they won't become too overwhelmed with the process of, the real estate journey? Because it can be a lot. So, what do you do to help them to just kind of guide through very smoothly?
Yeah, so the first thing that we have to realize, and especially you've been doing this for a long time, so many things
Yeah.
that, and even I don't even want to pull that card, because sometimes I don't like it when agents like pull this card, in negotiations, like, oh, I've got so much more experience than you, or I'm a broker and you're just an agent. So this is just a sidetrack. What I
Yeah.
wanted to say is that actually sometimes the more experience you have, the more you forget the basics, the more you forget
Mm.
that people need the basics. So, when somebody surprises me with a question, I'm thinking, oh, wow, that person doesn't even know that. Yes, they don't know it. They don't
Right.
know it, because we need to definitely make sure we cover the basics, and we have to look at things from the client's perspective. So
Yeah.
for at one point I have to, every time I get a question, I have to forget that I'm the agent. So let's look at it from their perspective and ask and see why they're asking me that question. I had a client, a seller client, who asked me, I want you to be there for every showing.
Okay.
I wanted to be there for every showing. And you have 10 listings. Imagine if you're there for every showing for your 10 listings at different times of day, right? So that's how we have the lock boxes. And then if you just hear that request, you're like, well, we can't be there for every showing. This means I have to, run around, and it's not, and the question didn't come from there. The question came
Yeah.
from the fact that they weren't sure how the log boxes will work, and
The
who
security of their home and
exactly. So once we covered that, it became clear that the client didn't exactly want me to be there, right? So there's a lot of, we have to stop, think, cover the basics,
Yes.
and really look at it from the client's perspective.
Yeah.
Even experienced people always ask. I get that question a lot. Should I be at the closing? Do I have to be at the closing? From buyers and sellers. And
Yeah.
for me, it's a given, but hey, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that was so good, Donica. You're right about that. The basics, just like the fundamentals. And then like if someone does pose a question, really what is the reason behind that question? What do they really want to know? And just that's really how you can help them from being overwhelmed, just by clear communication, right? Answering the question with grace, not being attitudinal. You don't know what you don't know. And they're selling their home, they're buying a home, and they just need to know these answers. And so um, just answer the questions, be clear, and communicate as much as possible. Some people say don't sweat the small stuff. Maybe you should sweat the small stuff. maybe
Yes.
that maybe that'll help us to make sure our clients are feeling like they're being taken care of.
And responded to in communication, because that's the number one,
Yeah.
right? In all statistics, the number one complaint from I don't know if it was buyers and sellers, or if it was just sellers, was communication from their agent, that
Mm-hmm.
feel like they don't get answers, fast enough, or they don't get, communicated to,
Right.
in a good way, or often enough, or sometimes even, setting expectations also. Like that's probably
Yeah.
the most important things in the very beginning, just to cover expectations, and about communication, about
Yeah.
times that you're working, about how the process goes, and
Mm-hmm.
to be really willing to repeat things, because people forget, like they may
Yeah.
know again, they need to be told things again, they need to be reminded what's next. And one of my goals is not to wait for the client to ask me. If the client asks me and I haven't explained it to them yet, I feel like I failed a little bit.
Right.
No, I
Right.
have to get to them first. And of course, nowadays it's even easier with AI, right? And other
Mm-hmm.
automations, or however you'd like to do it. But I'm thinking my goal should be to always beat the client, you
Yeah.
know, by explaining to them what's next.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like with being a real estate practitioner, you have to practice real estate. So every transaction, you would have practiced it. And so you would have learned something. So now you take that, what you've learned, and apply it to the next client. And then it just, repeat, repeat,
Absolutely.
repeat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to go back to what you said earlier, because we really didn't really touch on it. But you're not from Georgia. You're not from Atlanta. You're not from the United States. Can you tell everyone where you're from and how long you've been here?
So I'm originally from Bulgaria, which is in Eastern Europe. The language is Bulgarian, which is close to Russian, just for some context, because I know not everybody knows it. And I've been here for, I think it's probably 23 years, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. Like, now I was going to say half my life. So, you there you have it. I
Right. There you go. Now you know.
know.
But I think that's incredible, because you came here, and you built a business. And so people know you and they trust you. And all you did was you decided, hey, I'm going to do something and I'm going to keep doing it. And, people are like, well, Donica, how are you so successful? And it's like, well, I just keep doing what I'm doing over and over again. That's the only reason why we're successful, because we have picked a lane and we're just doing it and we're going for it and we're going for it. And we're showing up, right? Like you said, we're showing up to these places.
Yeah, we're showing up, and the thing is that, I've also learned that, yeah, I also learned to lean onto my strong sides, and I always
Yeah.
find myself getting back to, let's say, what I'm good at. And if that's where, the business and the success comes from, let's just amplify that. Because
Hmm.
sometimes, like even in triathlon, I'm not that great of a swimmer, or on the bike, I'm okay on the bike, but
Yeah.
I'm a really above average runner. So that's how I get to, top 10 or top 30, or third place on in my age group.
Yeah.
There are women that are much faster in general, in the other two, but then, I'm good at what, I let's say excel more at something, and that helps me make more progress, or
Yeah.
get further on,
Right.
even obviously that doesn't matter. It's all hobbies and things, but
Hmm.
in general, even with real estate, like if you're good in front of people, if you see the people, like if you care about people, I know it sounds very common, but it's something that does help. If that's what you're good at, keep at it.
Lean into it.
Lean into it, develop
Yes.
systems and processes where, um, I personally think that I could even go more into that, more gifts, more attention to people, VIP programs, or
Yeah.
whatever you decide to do with your clients. If that's where your
Mhm.
strengths lie, and you like to be personable, and keep at it, be more
Keep
like
at
that.
it.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, so I want to wrap up by letting everyone know that, hey, listen, if you feel like, hey, I love what Donica's doing, I want to be a part of this thing, you can certainly get in contact with her. Her information will be down below. And if you want to talk to me, I'm open to that too. But, the biggest thing for us is that Donica and I are a part of a group that really rallies around us and supports us. And so it's just kind of the culture of our group. And so if you're not on track to hit your goals and you would like for both of us to work with you to make sure that you're back on track, or if you're brand new to get on track to closing, consistently $100,000 or more per year, then click our links below, because the reality is you can have a successful career, but you have to be mindful about who you surround yourself with. So consider Donica and I a resource. We're here to help you and assist you grow your business and become successful in your own right. Donica, you want to leave everyone with a few things before you sign out?
I just have to say that real estate is a mindset. It could be a lifestyle. You just have to, find the balance. But there's a lot of mindset, and again, get into it with the right expectations. Not like me. I just got into it because
Because someone said so.
somebody
Yeah.
said so. Definitely get with to, and even for experienced agents, it doesn't matter. You always need the right mindset, because everything in this career changes.
Mm-hmm.
Technology changes, the rules change. So we
Yeah.
always have
Mm-hmm.
to be on top of our game, and it's so
Yes.
important to be surrounded by people that push you forward, that collaborate, that
Mm-hmm.
don't withhold, that are not information keepers, but
Yes.
information givers.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we found in our community, and I think everybody should find a community like that.
I agree. Well, Donica, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Shani. It was a pleasure. It was
Yes.
so
Okay, everyone. We look forward to hearing from you all in the near future. Again, our links are down below if you want to connect with us. All right. See ya.
Bye.